And now, Jeffrey Thomas J.T. Landry, on behalf of the Landry family, presents the Landry Family Bible. The Honorable Jeffrey Martin Landry will now receive the oath of office by family friend and District Court Judge, Division H of the 16th Judicial District Court, the Honorable Roger Hamilton.
Mr. Attorney General Landry, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Jeffrey Morton Landry,
do solemnly swear
that I will support
the
Constitution and laws
of
of the United States of America
the United States of America
and the Constitution and laws
and the Constitution and laws
of the great state of Louisiana, and that I will faithfully
and I will faithfully
and impartially
and
discharge
impartially discharge
and perform all the duties incumbent upon me as the governor of this great state of Louisiana, according to the best of my ability and understanding. So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Governor.
To the cherished people of our beautiful state, honored guests, our historic veterans, our elected officials, family and friends. Today, God shined his light on our government. Tomorrow, he promises blessings that he will shower on the entire state. To the great people of Louisiana, welcome home. I am so deeply humbled. I am humbled first by the grace of God. I'm humbled by your presence here today. I am humbled by the continual prayers that showered our loved ones. And I'm humbled by the friendships we have shared. You know, it is fitting and appropriate that we stand today before this Capitol, having the sun set on the past, where a new Louisiana will dawn. This magnificent Capitol stands as a monument to the history of our beloved state. It is sculpted in stone, wrought in steel, captured in the decor are the symbols of our great history. The awe of this structure is inspiring at the thought of common people, those living and those gone, whose toil and suffering built it. Built not as a delusion of their self-aggrandizement, but as a reflection of their hopes and their dreams. For carved in this stone is the story of Louisiana. From the Native Americans to the French and Spanish explorers, to the thousands that came from other lands, to those who were moved to this place by forces of the past. This is our home. This is your home. This revered and illustrative chronicle reveals just how the world has found Louisiana to be, the embodiment of a spirited people that will take you in, a people that will share their table with you, a people who will rush to console you, a people who will fight for their beliefs, and a people who will not rest when you need help. A people of immeasurable love and unrivaled determination. In the battlefield of life and in the straight face of adversity, it is Louisiana's perseverance that stands as a measure of inspiration. From the fishermen and the shrimpers that know no toll of hour, nor individual safety as they wrought their catch, to the millions of our toughest who have spent the better portion of their lives in our fields and forests, to those brave and rugged souls that have risked limb and life decade after decade in and around our shipyards, our drilling rigs, and our plants. To the thousands of service workers, cooks, waiters, hotel maids that humbly serve us day after day, night after night, because this is their building too. As we reflect together before this Capitol, let us remind ourselves that the grandeur of this structure shall never equal our worth as a people. A people with a culture of peace, of sharing, of patriotism, of family values, of honor, and of courage. For our culture is a culture of joy, a culture of love, of kindness, of resilience, of diversity, and of unbridled hospitality. The beautiful and unique people of Louisiana are the originators of welcome. Bienvenue. Hospitality may have been invented in the South, but it was perfected in Louisiana. Again, welcome home. Whenever and wherever people meet crisis, they look to the people of Louisiana, for who for over 300 years have always come back home, have always measured up, have always stemmed the rough tides and stood down the angry winds, only to crawl back, swim back, fight back, get up, stand up, and never, ever forget who we are and why we are here. We know far too well why those who leave our state for other opportunities shall always hear the whisper of the live oak to come back home. The everlasting love of our culture tugs at their heart. It speaks to their soul, because coming home to Louisiana feeds their soul and their enduring longing to be here, home where they belong. To the ladies and gentlemen of our legislature, senators and representatives of each of our 64 different and unique parishes, representing 4.6 million great citizens of this state, I stand before you and beside you with complete and total realization that the people of Louisiana have designated this Capitol as the hallowed place where their voices are to be heard together in equal and fair measure and in its broadest format. We are but mere proxies in the living illustration of the people's chosen representative government. It is here that we come together so that their lives are governed even-handedly, so that their hard-earned money is spent judiciously, so that their institutions are compelled to serve them and not to disenfranchise them. so that their government fulfills the missions contrived by them, and so that their children are promised the perpetual legacy of opportunity. The place is here, and the time is now, and the challenge is ours. But may we be mindful of the fact that how we carry out our public service is what shall separate politicians from statesmen. For our people did not send us here to quarrel over the senseless, the personal, the trivial, or the political. Our problems cannot find resolution whenever political divide becomes the antithesis to solution. Our people did not send us here to settle scores or engage in battles created by secretly funded manipulators that profit by dividing Americans. Instead, the people sent us here to repair and reform their government and to unleash innovation and production so their future and the future of their children are made better. For they sent us here not as politicians seeking the next vote, but as statesmen seeking the next generation. For the people of this state are hopeful and they are anxious. They demand leadership that will place the greater good of this state above personal agendas, delusional entitlements, and special interests. Our people seek government that reflects their values. They demand that our children be afforded an education that reflects those wholesome principles, not an indoctrination behind their mother's back. I believe the most important voice in a child's education should be that of their parents. For it is only through education without indoctrination that a child finds his or her true potential. And no one knew that better than my mother. She taught as a profession. She taught as a calling. She taught with leadership and courage. And she taught by example. Over 50 years ago, at the height of desegregation, she took her first teaching job in Loreauville High, teaching English, French, and girls phys ed. At the time, women's sports was aspirational at best, second class at worst. She was the only female coach, but she was undeterred, and she made friends. One of them is Judge Hamilton's deceased father, one of her best friends. She saw sports as a way to bring people closer together, to create bonds and camaraderie that would extend beyond racial barriers that she was determined to tear down. Her determination established the school's first women's basketball program. She and her students created a program literally out of whole cloth, for they and her sewed their own uniforms. She fought for court time for her girls, many of whom had never touched a basketball. But her instinct told her that if she taught these girls the value of teamwork and commitment, it would provide a foundation to succeed in life. And oh, what a first season it was. The team lost the first game by 100 points. And they lost every game that season. But she was determined to keep them motivated and enthusiastic, so she did what she always did. She changed the objective Instead of focus on winning the game, the goal was to score just a certain number of points. And with each game, they would set a new goal of points to score. So that game by game, point by point, they improved, they learned, and they developed character. So from nothing to something, from seemingly an utter failure, those girls created a program that would earn them a district title and a playoff berth in 4 short years. May I take a moment to recognize these wonderful ladies who were as much a part of shaping me as she was. Ladies, will you stand? Thank you so much for being here. You see, that is the calling of a great teacher. That is what great teachers do. And that is what we must all do for their sake. We must commit ourselves to the crisis that is evolving in some of our schools and restore the peace of mind that our parents enjoyed when they sent us to school. We must honor teachers by letting them teach. And we must safeguard our schools from the toxicity of unsuitable subject matter so that the sanctity of the student and the teacher is restored. The people of Louisiana deserve a government as great as they are. And I fully appreciate that in governing, a difference of opinion must exist for there to be deliberation. And it is our duty to deliberate respectfully and productively to deliver solutions that our people seek. It is in that spirit that I welcome your thoughts. I value your opinions. I respect your ideologies. And I sincerely invite your ideas. So again, to the legislature, I ask you to help me help you and together help them, for failure in this state is not an option anymore. And so, to my fellow citizens, I pledge to you an open door. I welcome anyone and everyone to the table of thought with an open ear. I have learned by listening to the voices of those that long to be heard. And I sadly hear the victims of crime, whose compelling voices have gone unheard for far too long, squelched by the misguided noise of those that would rather coddle to criminals than live in peace. And I mince no words about the consequences I feel are wholly appropriated for those who commit violent crime in our state. For it comes from listening to innocent victims of the senseless, uncivilized, and outrageous violence that too many have suffered. Families ripped apart, loved ones taken from us by people with no conscience who do not deserve the privilege of freedom. To the victims, those victims speak out for justice, and it is our duty to act so that others are spared that burden of pain. Today, I recognize and honor two extraordinarily brave and relentless citizens, Ms. Michelle Anglin and Mr. Cortez Collins. Michelle and Cortez, would you please stand? Michelle and Cortez could easily be your sister, your brother, your neighbor, raising their child with love and nurture as the beacon of hope and the light in their lives. Michelle and Cortez lost their life when their children were taken from them by senseless acts of violence. More sadly, they represent the many parents, the brothers, the sisters, the aunts, the uncles, the cousins in our state that wake up every morning from the nightmare of losing a loved one to cruel, unconscionable, and senseless violence. We owe no higher obligation as public service servants than to fix this, to fix it now and to fix it for good. To Michelle and Cortez, I say, may God rest his hand on your heart. And I pledge to do everything I can to possibly make this state safer. And to bring an end to the misguided, deadly tolerance for crime and criminals that plague us. To the men and women who protect us, who stand firmly on that thin blue line, our appreciation is expressed this evening in the rows of flags that have been placed on these sacred grounds, and that is proudly and profoundly represented here by an empty chair. We know too well the sacrifice you give every day and the risk you take to endure, to protect us from those who will not follow laws of society. Our police officers, our correctional officers, our deputies deserve our gratitude, our respect, and our support. I have stood in their shoes, and my love and support for them shall never waver. The concern of our families for their own safety in their own neighborhood has been heard loud and clear and will be addressed by whatever legal means necessary from this day forward. Now, there is no greater gift we can give to a person than to provide them an opportunity for their labor, to enable their own self-sufficiency, and in doing so, we revel in the thriving of our economy. As we shape policy and seek solutions to the challenges of energy, exploration, production, conservation practices, and the protection of our environment, we shall seek and we shall heed all the science, not just the selective slices spoon-fed to us by those seeking to profit, in many cases from the taxpayer-funded subsidies that disregard the health, the safety, and the employment security of our citizens. All the while hiding the truth about the real environmental footprints created by the lust for wealth by a chosen few and their reckless proposals. It is time our policymakers consider all the facts without regard for the purchased influence that seeks to destabilize the economic security of our families and the energy policies of our state and of this nation. We are mindful that America is a nation built by small business owners. As a small business owner myself, I understand, I appreciate, and I fully support any Louisiana citizen with the courage to risk their precious capital, to pour their heart and labor into an idea, working tirelessly to make a dream a reality. You are the people that built this country. For you generate revenue for this state, our local governments, but more importantly, you pave the way to prosperity for all Louisiana citizens. The health and welfare of our families has been politicized to the point of endangerment and disregard for the dignity of our elderly and our suffering. All the while, the price we pay goes up while the outcomes go down. Medical needs are changing as rapidly as the methodology of providing the services for those who need. It is our public and moral obligation to stay ahead of those changes and to develop more efficient, more expedient, and more conscientious practices in our hospitals, in our clinics, in our nursing homes. Home health care and telemedicine expands medical access to more and more Louisiana citizens and elevates their quality of life. It is my further belief that our medical professions, our doctors, our nurses, our therapists, our EMTs, and our first responders, and all of those who work to care for others are among our very finest. They carry the burden of healing others. They are a constant and utter failing inspiration, for they are the ones that provide comfort and hope. The healthcare policy decisions we make as a government cannot and will not be advanced without the benefit and input of their invaluable knowledge and their inspirational compassion. You know, today, exactly 208 years ago, the most powerful armed forces in the world at that time was mobilizing around the city of New Orleans to conquer Louisiana, to hopefully rescind the Louisiana Purchase, to claim our rivers, our cities, our towns, our settlements, to serve their king. Tomorrow morning, as the sun rises, it will mark the anniversary of that fateful attack. The untrained and outnumbered Louisiana militia of over 1,000 men were logistically no match for a superior British force of over 6,000 highly trained and perfectly equipped soldiers. Those Louisianans represented the magnificent diversity and courage of our state that exists today. They were men of color, ethnicities, background, status, and religions. There were the wealthy few, the working poor. Many were farmers, shopkeepers, enslaved men who were readily armed and fought valiantly. Some were fishermen, boat builders, clergymen, and even pirates. They stood side by side, shoulder to shoulder. The bravery of Louisiana that day stunned the world with a crushing defeat of King George's army. It is a story of courage, of optimism, of how a group of people with extremely different opinions set aside their differences, embraced one another's courage, and demonstrated to the world the power of unity. Theirs is a story of defeating fear and adversity with courage and diversity. This story is our story. We are the same people at that hour. We, this state, our people are one in the same. when we provide that unity, when we show that we can come together and solve the problems of this state, we then show America and the world how it will be done, just as it was back then. You know, more importantly, we still love to love, and we love to argue. But more importantly, we still love when we finish arguing. It is that indomitable spirit so deeply rooted in the DNA of Louisiana that motivates us, that reminds us that we can do anything, that we can solve any problem, that we can count on one another, that whatever befalls one of us rallies all of us. Because that is what we do in Louisiana. That is who we are. If America is a melting pot, then Louisiana is the gumbo that fills the pot. To the people of Louisiana, there is something quite extraordinary about you. What kind of people could make a mosquito-infested marsh and swamp their productive, beautiful, and thriving home? What kind of people could fabricate industry along bayous and rivers and a turbulent Gulf? What kind of people could tame the wilderness and the vast forests? What kind of people could lead the world in the energy sector and provide the technical force that has lifted this world from mud and poverty? What kind of people could master the land and produce agricultural abundance to feed the world? What kind of people could master the violence of our seas and of our rivers to create commerce and trade? Only the amazing and wonderful people of Louisiana. Only you could turn your exile into a Garden of Eden and a place where the entire world celebrates the unique culture we have created. There is no place like Louisiana, and nowhere are there fabulous people like you. And I love Louisiana. If I had 100 lives to live, I would live them all in Louisiana. So tonight, we celebrate. Tonight, I welcome you home. The rich and historical examples of our great state shall be shown fighting back, bouncing back, coming back again and again, because that's what motivates me every day. From this day forward, with all that I am, with all that I have, to serve the greatest people on earth. So while we mark this historical inauguration, the next 2 days are for you to celebrate and for you to know that this place is your home. May God bless each and every one of you, our beloved state of Louisiana. And again, to my fellow Louisianians, welcome home. God bless you. Thank you so very much.